Rouser Radio, direct from Lewis. This is Ben Soundbuddy saying good morning on Monday, the 20th of June. And my God, doesn't the sun go? And the year is 2022, according to my calendar. The time is 7:32. And for those of you who like warm, it's going to be hot again. A nice day, a lovely day. So get out there and enjoy it. But be careful, do not get yourself lobstered. Because if you do, it's very uncomfortable and you miss the rest of the good fortunes and good warm weather. I'm Keith Hayes. This is Rouser Radio, and we are coming to you from Lewis in East Sussex. Rouser Radio is just a little bit a little bit of fun before we go to Mirador Television at 8:30 and a serious look at what's going on with some interesting guests and so on. Now, the newspaper headlines, let's take a look first of all from the Metro. It says network derailed. And of course, it's all about the rail strike, which is beginning to kick up a storm with predictions of a summer of discontent as other trade unions, jump onto the bandwagon, as one would expect. Why on earth, after misery, these groups would want to impose misery? I have absolutely no idea. I think most of it is probably political. They want to get rid of the present Tories. It's amazing how toxic the name Tory is to some people who are involved in the left wing activities. There you are. You can't tell them. The whole idea of impartiality and fairness and decency seems to have disappeared. It was on the way out before we got COVID. Now it's gone totally. Apart from very good friends who are about the same age as me, and that's old, we find uh, very little courtesy, interest, or anything else that is positive amongst many younger people. Right, the Times. Teachers and doctors threaten to join strikes. Doctors going on strike. What happened to the Hippocratic Oath? It just shows the medical profession is really individually. I have no axe to grind with any doctor or nurse that I deal with, or even my consultant for Parkinson's. But what I did find is that collectively they've gone stark, staring, bloody bonkers, and those people who are ambitious and want to make a name for themselves by putting in place wonderful things which they can then head, are actually shooting themselves in the foot because none of it works, and all that's happening is people are getting pissed off with the profession. So doctors go on strike. Well, I mean, now that will be interesting to see if any deaths occur from that, because if they do, they will never recover from that. Never. So they better think long and hard before they go on strike. The Times, right, it says teachers and doctors are threatening to walk out alongside rail workers if the government fails to meet their demands for a pay rise. The paper says ministers will rush through emergency legislation allowing business to replace striking employees with agency or temporary workers for a limited time. I don't know whether I really want a temporary or agency doctor if I'm in trouble. And I am from time to time. I'm not overly burdensome, I think, on the NHS, but I do need my doctor from time to time, a little bit more now that I'm a bit older. Now, summer strikes plague spreads. That's the Daily Mail, and the Mail has slightly different take on the thing. Likens the prospects of other walkouts to a spreading plague and quotes Tory party chairman Oliver Dowden saying plans to bring the country to a standstill were deeply selfish. I agree with it. This is no time for this nonsense. It may be time for the strategists to say, now if we hit here, we will wound the government or we'll do whatever. But it's absolute rubbish that they should go on strike now. It really is. We have been through two horrendous years, 2.5 horrendous years, and most of us haven't recovered. And if the unions are going to actually make sure that we don't recover at all, then be it on them that they've done the very worst for the community, and to argue otherwise is fatuous. Daily Telegraph says economists have warned this week's strikes could knock 0.3 to 0.4% of GDP for June, with up to 1 in 20 people unable to go to work. The Daily Express, voters won't forgive the rail strike betrayal. The transports, they've also quoted Grant Shapps, the Transport Secretary, saying he's written a hard-hitting letter to the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, saying it was staggering that he would not speak out against the strikes. Good political stuff. The Guardian, anger as ministers refuse to join last-ditch efforts to halt rail strikes. Well, there you go. You can see it different ways and in different forms. Ministers refuse to join last-ditch efforts to halt rail strikes, and that seems to imply that the ministers aren't actually sitting down with the trade unions. But in fact, a more detailed analysis shows that direct contact at this stage would be counterproductive for both, and that in fact there are negotiations going on. But there we are. Everybody wants to make their point. Rail strikes to carry on until the autumn. They are likely to carry on until the autumn. There are some people who are suggesting that the war in Ukraine is going to go on for years, and we are in a very, very difficult time. It's like the perfect storm. All sorts of things have come together at the same time, and to fight it, I have to say, I have great sympathy with Boris. I think that if, in fact, he had known what he was likely to face when he stood for the leader of the Conservative Party 2 years ago, I think he would have said, I'll put it off for 4 years, thank you very much, because he has had insurmountable problems. And in some ways, those inside say that he's handled it rather well. But then, because everything is so emotional and emotive at the moment, no one can push that. The General Secretary of the RMT union, Mick Lynch, is warning people they should expect a long fight between unions and Network Rail. Well, just don't. Why don't you fight in the back rooms, right? And the Financial Times is the City of London bosses have warned the UK faces a damaging recession later this year, and raised fears that managers lack experience in dealing with severe economic shocks. I think they lack experience in an awful lot of things. We have not got good, sophisticated, experienced leadership at any level at all. All right, let's go through our music list. Is Ben Sound Ukulele. We love this one, don't we? sound ukulele. Didn't get a chance to finish my biscuit. Um, so forgive me for talking to you with a full mouth. The weather this morning is going to be rather good. I think it's only going to reach about 2021 today, but the week ahead is there's a little increase every day, so we're going to go back up to 24, 25. No sign of rain, a gentle breeze. All in all, quite a nice day. Quite a nice day. But beware, because you go out and think that you can handle that sun because it doesn't at the time feel too bad, and then in the evening, suddenly everything goes wobbly. Everything. So you're going to have plenty of time this week to find your way to the seaside if you live by the seaside. And if you live in the hinterland, unless you've got a car, no, certainly not. Because uh, tonight the railway workers go on strike, trains halted again, complete and utter mayhem, economic distress. Uh, we are in for about 2022 is going to go down as probably one of the worst years of this century and probably of the last 2 centuries put together. And there are a few bad things happened in the 1900s. But goodness gracious me, uh, we really are, and most of this is self-imposed. It's all our own fault, and we should get on with it and stop doing these silly things like going on strike. Yeah, I'm sorry. The unions will argue black is white and red is blue, and the fact of the matter is that it's not just economically, it's mentally that if we have more misery, that the national psyche is not likely to be able to handle it. And what does that mean? Explosions? Does it mean uprisings? Does it mean rebellion? I don't know, it could. When you're on a tinderbox, those people who have advocated getting getting nasty, shall we say? Nasty. It does, it creates an atmosphere of a certain amount of violence. Um, it's interesting that in France the voters only just voted in Emmanuel Macron as president, and now they blooded his nose by taking away his majority in voting in the local elections and taking away MPs and or representatives, whatever agents that support him, which has left him looking a bit silly as well. Mind you, he is capable of making himself look silly, but that's another situation. That's another question, isn't it? It is 7:48 this morning, and what's going on in the papers apart from the headline? Let's have a look. A couple recreate the maze from Anne Boleyn Castle in their back garden. Goodness gracious me! A couple have very carefully reconstructed the maze. The trouble is, can't see any sort of sign, whether it's a miniature or whether in fact they've got a big enough back garden to recreate it. But of course, mazes were popular playthings in the 15th and 16th centuries. Particularly if you fancied a lady and you weren't allowed to approach her at court, is you could catch her in the maze. Ho ho ho! There was a biplane took a hit yesterday as an air show. Where was the air show? Duxford. Ah, right. Well, I mean that Duxford is where one of the famous wings came from during the Battle of Britain. So they should know what they're doing. And the play, which is on display, um, took a liking for the earth and nosedived. Sunak could help firms buying British and a poverty alert for over 65s. What's that all about? Um, 1 in 7 65-year-olds were in income poverty in 2020 due to the state pension age rising from 65 to 66. Is that right? Yes. And a key effect of the rise between late 2018 and late 2020 was that 85-year-olds, 65-year-olds missed out on provision, on pension income, which was worth about 140 quid a week. And now that's paying them back, unfortunately. One of the things is trans swimmers are banned from competition. Well, it's all very well diversity, etc., but quite often a lot of these diversity groups expect to be treated differently to anybody else. I'm all for accepting all sorts of people into our society as long as they don't expect to be treated. I mean, basically, their argument is that we're different and we need legislation and we need this to protect us and that to protect us. And then, generally speaking, is well, we want to take part in all sorts of other things. And to do so, we expect equal treatment. And they don't get the equal treatment. And organizations say, no, you can't take part. And suddenly we've got an issue on our hands, which I don't think should be there at all. But there you are. There you are, I'm afraid. And, it is tough. It is tough. Why don't we let's play this on the Mini Vandals. Down with your get up. 7:54. A little after 5 to 8, and probably time that all of us should be thinking about getting out of bed. I thought about it this morning and desperately wanted not to, but there was no alternative, and back out I got, and here I am. Much either pleasure or displeasure. I'm Keith Hayes. This is Rouser Radio out of Lewes, East Sussex, and a jolly little precursor to our main program output, which is Mirador Television, which gets cracking at 8:30. So join us there. And just to let you know where we are, it's in the White Hart Hotel, and we are privileged to be in the bar. Can't get a drink there yet, but the folk here are extremely kind, look after us extremely well. Sally and Shannon and Jane. And Jane is on this morning, and she looks after me very well. And if you happen to come into the hotel for any reason this morning, she'll look after you as well. And she does so with a smile, which is terrific. Right, okay. So the newspaper headlines is the if you go on a travel by train, don't bother this week. It won't help. Officially, the strike is only Monday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Anyway, it's only 3 days. But it turns into 6 because the trains are all in the wrong place the next day for them to be used commercially. And so it's going to be a tough week, whoever you happen to be. Right, okay. Right. A Brit won the golf tournament in America yesterday, the American Open. Matt Fitzpatrick, in he won the U.S. Open at Brookline. It's his first major title. But apparently he turned in a very dramatic display, and it was right down to the last hole and the last stroke of the match as to whether he would win. So the back pages of the newspapers Fitzpatrick holds nerve to clinch the US Open title. So we got golf very much in the aforementioned. Right, so Lewis Hamilton made it onto the podium. What did he do? He came third in the Canadian Grand Prix. Well, that's cloudy a bit because he's not had the best season so far. It was won incidentally by Verstappen, who is was the young pretender to the throne. It looks like he's now going to ascend it. Peter England sank to heaviest defeat under Eddie. Next up, it's the Aussies. England 21, the Barbarians 52. Oh, that was the rugby yesterday. England, they quite often use this rugby union match as a test to see how the national team is doing. Well, it didn't do very well yesterday. England were put to the sword by the Barbarians. It was a strong Barbarian side. It had several players who were internationals in their own right. And they went after England in a big way, but the commentators all think that England's in serious trouble now. It's difficult to say whether this is a blip. No, it's not a blip because we haven't done it all well in the last couple of years under Eddie Jones. Perhaps it is the time for him to go. see. I I can't see anything else really that totally scintillating. I did see this morning that England won the one-day international against the Netherlands, and therefore take the series. Uh, yes, there was a lot of activity on the tennis court. It's that time of year, it's that season. And it's turning to the business pages. Um, green funding is threatened by the windfall tax. You do something with the right hand and the left hand says no. So that's the, broadly what you can find in the papers this morning. That's, come on, your love. That was Your Love by Young Logos. And I must say that it may be a bit repetitive, but it was starting to put me to sleep. I'm after not a difficult, but a full weekend. That's what I need this morning is sleep. And I don't suppose for one moment that I'm going to get any. In fact, I can seize the next hour and a half, 2 hours, that I'm going to actually exist one with my lovely lady. There you go. Well, that's the way I feel this weekend or today after the weekend. I hope that it picks up. Trying to keep your eyes open when the thing that you mostly want to do is go to sleep isn't the easiest thing. Oh dear, I guess it's time for some more music this morning. Let's see, Benson, Jazzy, Frenchy. That's always a crowd fuller. and sound jazzy Frenchy. Uh, okay. What can you expect if you go outside? You can expect a decent temperature because it is nudging 12. Well, so it's nudging. It's going to nudge 21 degrees a little later. And the low, in fact, is 12, which was the high a couple of weeks ago. So we're lucky in East Sussex that we've got a varied temperature. That it's not too hot and it's not too cold. It's just right to go out in, as long as you only do it in short bursts, and that's going to be true over the rest of the week. Uh, all right. Having said that, whether you go to work or whether you want to go on holiday or you've got an appointment or you thought you might like to come up to London and have a bite of lunch, it's another uh, item that you have to negotiate before you get anywhere near the station in London. Unfortunately, not only is the RMT, the Railway Men's Union, on strike or going to go on strike as of midnight tonight. But now there is a call amongst the public sector brethren, teachers, we can give them a place in the ranks. Uh, Stuart Dolby with his coveted energy station, and me. That's that's all you've got to go on, but not a bad mix actually. And do remember, you can go to Speaker Radio on the website, miradortelevision.com, and enjoy it there. If you do enjoy it, it's not the greatest program in the world, and it only lasts for 45 minutes. It's peculiar, isn't it? Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to be talking. I thought we got music. No, I'm supposed to be talking. You're listening to Rouser Radio in Monday, the 20th of June in the year 2022. And we are faced with a week of strikes and continuing disruption for perhaps most of the summer as people jump on the bandwagon. So they smell blood and in they go. And it's a pity, really. It's a pity because we were coming out of COVID and that was not easy. In fact, it still isn't easy. But this, along with the war in Ukraine, is going to make it a lot more difficult. Incidentally, the latest on the Ukraine is that some analysts are saying it will last for years, and others are saying that it'll break into open hostilities if it goes on for much longer, because the Do Nothing Brigade are allowing things to happen, which, excuse me, well, that's the funniest sneeze. I want to sneeze, but somehow there was something stopping me. There, I got rid of it. All right, it's 8:10, but we normally leave about quarter past. A bad week with doctors and nurses threatening to go on strike in sympathy with the RMT, or at least sympathy with their own bank, which is asking them to pay back monies and so on and so forth at a much faster rate. I'm afraid I have not got so much sympathy with banks. They are nasty retailers, and we need them of necessity. But tell you one thing, I wouldn't work for one of all the tea in China. I'd feel so ashamed. But there we are. They don't. They think that everything is fine. So it was a strange weekend for me. Lewis was actually, as a small town, was very much alive in the morning on Saturday morning. It calmed down later in the day, I understand. But certainly there was a buzz about the place which you don't often get. Um, and whether that's through you hauliers, lorry drivers, or whether it was any other third party, we're not sure. Once we actually get into the details of the news, we'll know what's going on, how long this strike will last. But the predictions are a long time. And when it's tied in with the war, which there are experts that are saying some of this discontent could last into the next year and the year after that. And so could the war in Ukraine. Not a pretty picture. And I think that what we'll do is we will end there. A very good morning to you. Thank you for being with us. This is just a little taster for Mirador Television, and we'll see you at 8:30. Till then, toodle pip, and better get the right one to go out on, because I'm not terribly alert this morning, I have to say. So it's goodbye from Rouser Radio at 8:15 on the Monday morning of the 20th of June, 2022. Till 8:30, toodle pip.